Ready. Hi, everyone. We're here today with Kathleen Sherman, and she's gonna quantum shamanic healer, and she's going to tell you some spooky stories and tell you about what she does in her job on a daily basis. Because first, Kathleen, Halloween is every day, but we thought we'd do a special this week because with all the creepy crawlers around and this time of year, we thought we'd have fun with that. So with no further ado, here's Kathleen.
Hello, I'm Kathleen Sherman.
Hi.
I work in the quantum energy field, so I kind of can see in my third eye all kinds of stuff in the world, and that's in between dimensions. And so started being able to see those things and hear things from spirit, like right after my mom passed. So it opened me up, and then I just kept opening up and going, what the heck is this about? You know, over and over and over, and read everything I could get my hands on about spirituality and mediumship, and learned Reiki from Bonnie, which helped me really learn about energy and how things work in the world. And so then that led me to being able to see things or know things about people's bodies or energy fields. And so that was really awesome to be able to just know things. It was kind of scary at first, and I would kind of just blurt things out, which is not good, by the way. Don't do that. Because I would channel this energy, and then I'd be like, blah, 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 blah. Oh, crap. I just said that out loud. Like I had to learn how to temper that down and stop doing that kind of crap. Because, some things I would say, I would get like serious issues for people. And before that, even to give you a little background on myself, I actually worked in a hospital as a scheduler for 15, 16 years. And so I was talking constantly to people about their physical problems and ailments. And so I would just know things and kind of help. What I really like to do is help people work through things. If they were having issues or just needed to talk. I mean, I would take the time and talk to them and help them. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I was already doing what I do now as a medical intuitive. I was already, helping guide them on a path. Might not have been the one that I'm doing now, but it taught me a lot about how to work with people, how to help calm them. And I didn't even know I was doing that at the time. Help calm them and help them, maybe get a game plan on their issues and stuff like that. But so fast forward into the future, I heard my mother start talking to me right after she passed. And then that opened me up and was very surprising to me because I had absolutely no idea that I had gifts and abilities. Some of the other gifts and abilities I had was, and I didn't realize what that was at the time, but I saw myself in past lives. Ooh, I could tell a spooky story about that because that one's rough. So when I was a teenager, I was first dating my husband. I've been with him a long time. And when I was with my husband, my mother had past life regression tapes and stuff that she'd healed herself from advanced ovarian cancer, by the way. And so she had some of the stuff sitting around. And so we were like, oh, that sounds like fun. Let's do one of those tapes. And so we did this past life regression tape. Tim and I did. And I saw myself get out of this car. It looked like almost like a Rolls Royce type of car, something like that. It was long, black. It had the big roll around, from the, how they have that step that goes all the way around to the front of the car. And there were things that I just knew and things that I just saw. I knew that I was a young girl because I was stepping out of that car. I stepped out of that car and I was a young girl and I had this lacy dress on that had a low waist. It reminded me of like the flapper times, maybe 1920s, 1930s or so, type of dress, low waist. And then it was all lacy. And then I had like patent leather shoes on. So I just knew I had some money. I knew my whole family was with me. It was a fun day. We were going to visit somebody in the country. They had a long dirt driveway. And then I realized where I was and I was like, oh my God, what's going on? And I freaked myself out and I woke myself up out of the middle of this meditation, past life regression meditation I was doing. And at that time, I didn't realize I had just seen one of my past lives. So that's kind of how my path started. And then I kind of didn't know what to think of it. It kind of freaked me out. So I kind of just turned it off. And then eventually down the road, I saw myself in school. I was probably in high school by this time, little bit older, maybe like a year later. And we did, I was learning, and it was like a class about history. It was a history class. And this history class, I was sitting there and they went through and were talking about the Russian. I haven't really told a lot of people about this except for my close people. So I'm telling the story today. So it's a new one for a lot of people. I actually saw, they were talking about the last Russian Tsar's family. And they were talking about, they were showing all the pictures and the things that had happened. Hello. The things that had happened to this family in the end of their lives. And they were actually gunned down and murdered. And at that time, and I had, when they were talking about this and I was seeing the pictures, I about had a heart attack. I was just sitting there in class, just going, like I couldn't breathe. And I was like having a panic attack and I had no idea why, except for the fact that then the teacher was like, well, you know, they talk about the youngest one, the youngest girl in the family. And I probably won't say the name just to be nice, but you know, they said, you know, they think that she may still be alive, or she may have escaped. And I remember thinking, no, she didn't, because she died. I know she died. And then I went, wait a minute, how do I know that? And then I heard the name, and then I went, the name resonated with me. And so it was like one thing after another, all these synchronicities of me just knowing that was me. And I died in a really nasty way. So she's totally dead and I knew it. So that was one of my first things, remembering or knowing that. And at that time, I actually hadn't even thought about that for years until COVID hit, or I shouldn't say that word, sorry, the virus hit. And I was watching TV with my husband, and he turned on Mysteries at the Museum, and they showed a Russian fancy ornate building, and it took me back, and they had me remember all of those pieces and put them all together. And I texted Bonnie and I go, hey, can you just like give me a little bit of a hint? Am I just losing my mind, or was I this girl? And she checked in with me and she's like, no, you're right. And I was like, thank you. So some of these things that we see in our minds, we just have no idea they're real. And so those are the things that kind of opened me up. You know, I closed off for a long time. And then after my mom passed in 2014, then I started opening back up again, really opening back up to being aware and knowing that I have gifts and abilities, which everybody does. And that's why we're all out here, is we're out here shining our lights to help other people shine, you know, open themselves up too. So, and one of the things I do is I do many things. I work on people's energy fields. I started doing Reiki, learned about Reiki. Then I went to, I learned how to do the medical intuitive part with Tina Zion. I learned from her. I went to some of her classes in Chicago. And then after that, I knew that I kept getting messages from spirit saying the word shaman over and over and over. And I finally got the message that really I started going into and learning. I went to Michael Harner's group and read tons of books through them, and then, or that they recommended, and then went through some classes with them, and went to the shamanic classes and realized that it wasn't much different than I had already learned. So the medical intuitive to me was really shamanism. So the way they do it, the soul retrievals, taking people back in past lives and helping clear energies. It's a lot of basically mixed techniques between shamanism, mediumship, psychic abilities, quantum energy healing, all of it, mediumship especially. So a lot of the things that I get are in my ear. I'll hear things from spirit. They'll tell me things. Yep. And I'll hear things, or I'll just know it. So, and it's about learning how to open up to all of your senses. And I think that's what we're all moving towards right now, is to not just put ourselves in a box saying, oh, I'm a medium, or I'm a psychic, or I'm this or that. It's about, for me, it's about everybody opening up to all their gifts and abilities, because we're all a medium, we're all medical intuitive, we're all shaman. So, and right now we've lived most of the time hundreds to thousands of lifetimes here on earth, and we've practiced at all these things. We've gotten killed lots of ways, like I did in that last lifetime I was talking about. That was really rough, but we can move through it. And those things, when we are able to see them, we can move through them, work on that, what we call shadow work, and then move through after we release what we need to release. And then you move forward, and then you upgrade after you release all that junk behind you. So does anybody have any questions about me or anything that I've talked about so far? No? Everybody can mute themselves, right, Bonnie?
Yeah, they can unmute themselves.
So when you did your release work on that lifetime where it ended tragically, do you feel the release coming out of your feet and into Gaia and leaving you? Do you feel releases like that, or how do you feel your releases?
Not always. A lot of times the way I see in people's energy systems is sometimes it needs to come out of specific chakras and be released. You can do it many different ways. You can release through your body and into the earth, but a lot of times I'll use like a tornado effect. Like when I see something that's clogged or blocked or any of that type of thing, I'll actually pull out energy, and it looks like a dark vortex of energy, and we'll pull all the darker energies out and release, and then we'll either transmute ourselves, have the angels transmute it for us, drop it in the earth, whatever you choose to, or because we can transmute energy ourselves too. So it's like we pull out, and then when we're clearing somebody's physical body, energetic body, I should say, it's both, because we're working on both at the same time. When we do that, then we have to bring light back in afterwards to fill in all the holes, because people can have all kinds of holes, tears, rips in their energy field. And that's part of my job, is what they show me is they'll show me, like they showed me my own past lives. They show me other people's past lives too. So they'll show me something, how somebody got killed in another lifetime. If it's either through their physical body in that lifetime, it'll be in their energetic body most of the time in this lifetime, like a sword or getting shot or something like that. And they'll show me what it looks like, what their energy looks like, because it distorts their energy field until they clear that one way or another, and then fill it back with the light and fill it back in with just conscious energy. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, that's cool.
Probably a little bit more than you needed to know, but it's actually really cool. And so it's like we can do anything we want with our consciousness. We can clear spaces across the world. I've worked with people in, Ireland. I've worked with people in Austria and stuff like that. Just by using my mind, I can consciously clear energies or negative entities and things like that, by going and kind of finding them and talking to them. Anybody else have any questions, or did I answer that enough? Go ahead.
I have
You're
a question.
Just on mute, right there.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes I forget to do that. Like, oh my God, what was I gonna ask? Oh yeah. Like the other day, like someone was telling me they feel like they can see like hooks, like energetic hooks in me. And I'm like, I don't know why, like I can't feel that, but like I'm just curious if that's something that you can see. And because I know that like my ancestors, like my loved ones are in my house, and I know that they take things from me, but like as a joke with me, or when they don't want me to work with something. Like if I buy a book and they're like no, they'll just take it.
Mm-hmm.
I know I just need two questions at the same time, but but it's just so funny, if those are like two, like ADD is another thing. I'd love to be able to like just be like, say bye-bye ADD, like you're no longer needed. Have a great day. See you in another lifetime or never.
There are things that you can do when I've noticed just recently, and as a matter of fact, when I still worked at the hospital, I recently quit, that you can actually rein your energy in when you become, what I see and what I've seen recently in the last so many months is that when we become more multidimensional, it's like we're spreading our energy out that way, but we can learn how to wrangle it back in and connect and become balanced again, if that makes sense. And yes, on the hooks, most definitely. So when I look through people's energy fields, and Bonnie too, I know Bonnie can too. Like when we look through the energy field, we'll definitely see hooks that are through your energy field. And that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be from this lifetime. It could be from all kinds of things. I've seen it's really, and since we've been evolving more, I've seen more and more and been able to see, like I've actually had one person, and she talked about it online, so I think it's okay. She had a hooks in her from a mother from a past life that were wrangled into her energy field in this lifetime. And so I literally had to go through the lifetimes and the crisscross between the two lifetimes and actually go back to her mother. Yep. And basically like do what I had to do to remove the energy from what her mother was doing to her. Basically, we had to like dissolve that energy. And then, yeah, her mother had taken some of her energy even so. And so all kinds of goofy things that I'd never seen before I'm kind of opening up more lately and seeing more.
It's funny. I just friended you yesterday.
Yes.
And then I didn't realize it was you doing this. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so excited. So I'm so excited to learn whatever you got to share today, because I'm
Yes.
like, yay. Thank you.
Yes. Yes. You're welcome. So on clearing houses and properties, what I will do now is it doesn't really help much if you don't clear the people and the places. It's not gonna, to me, it's like, okay, like you're gonna clean up the trash, but you're still gonna leave trash all around the trash can. You know what I mean? Like you gotta, it's just a way of saying it. It's the only thing I could come up with. But it's like we have to be able to clear everything that's in the space, or at least figure out what it is. And a lot of when I go into people's houses or spaces, first of all, I'll look at what is, if they have any kind of negative attachments or what's going on in their energy field, and then what's going on in the property, who's there, and then I will energetically talk to them and see, like look and see who's there and what needs to be done. Sometimes the physical locations have spirits that have been there for eons. Sometimes it's elementals. Sometimes it's a portal that's there, or that's creating this doorway for spirits to come in. Mirrors, ley lines. Spirit people can be there. Negative entities can be there. And those can be people who have walked, that can be people who can have walked the earth in other lifetimes and could be kind of stuck there, or it could be more negative things that aren't so great that need to be cleared.
Hey, Kathy, I was thinking too, when you were talking about, clearing the people also along with the property. Mm-hmm. I also was thinking that, sometimes emotionally they need to be healed because they don't know how to let go of. They feed off of that energy, and it's like a codependent thing that you have to talk them through and actually help them heal in that way. So you never know what kind of healing you're coming into, because it might be an addiction. Sometimes they get addiction to that energy, even though it's scaring them. They still like, what is that? I see this. They can't let it go. I've seen that a lot lately.
Yes, most definitely. And a lot of times when people do have spiritual attachments, that's exactly what Bonnie said. They get, it's like codependent. They're used to them being there. And it's actually, it might be freaky and scary, but it's comfortable for them, because sometimes people are even come in really with attachments already. I know I did. I had, for me personally, one of my instances was, and I had to do a lot of shadow work to work on this one. I remember, so I was in one of Bonnie's meditations at Choices in Richland, and she had us look back at one of our past life selves, and I looked down, and I was a hot mess. It was late 1700s, 1780s. I always get I even know my name from that lifetime. My name was Caroline O'Day. I know my name. I know who I was. I was a midwife. I was what they call a granny wife in the Appalachian Mountains. I was from Ireland. They're telling me again. So I haven't thought about that one for a long time. And I was just a hot mess. I had a pinafore on. My hair was a mess. I had long blonde hair. Like it didn't look like I'd taken care of it very well or myself very well. I saw my shoes. They were brown. They were kind of, like a brown, almost leatherish type of shoe. And I knew that I was a midwife. I had a bunch of kids and I knew that my husband had left me and I was just miserable. I was not a happy camper in that lifetime. And I did a lot of shadow work, being able to go in and see this, not only at one time, like this probably took me a half a year, or at least a year to go through and see all of these things for myself. And then I found out, I saw what would happen, because this is how it correlates, is when I was a child, I would have this shadow man chase me through my dreams. He would just scare the living crap out of me. He just looked like a dark shadow man with a hat and like a coat, in dark. That's all I could see. And he would chase me. And this is the funny part. I would be I would always go to Little House on the Prairie. It was like I was in the town of Little House on the Prairie because I watched that as a kid. And every single time I would run from him, and I would run into the church. I would run into the church and I would slide underneath the pews and I would hide every single time. And he couldn't get me when I was in the church. So what does that say? The divine, that was a message for me. But anyway, when I started, and this man, the shadow figure had not gone away yet. And so what I finally figured out was that the shadow man was my creation, what I call a thought form. I created him out of my anger for my husband leaving me in that lifetime. And what I would see is I would see him rocking in the rocking chair as a shadow figure in my house in that lifetime. And so once I learned what that was, and that was my own anger from another lifetime that I brought into this lifetime, I dissolved it in light. That's all I had to do. All those years I was being just absolutely tortured by this thing, scaring the crap out of me in my dreams. And it got worse when I got older, trust me. And all I had to do was stand up in my light and just go poof with white light, and he was gone. And he's never been there again. So that's how powerful we are. That's how powerful the light is, and how I slayed that demon. I mean, he wasn't even a demon. He was my part of my own energy that I had created out of my anger and fear and probably hatred of my husband. Because in that lifetime, he had beat me. He had been an alcoholic and he was out of control. And then he left me with all these kids to fend by myself. So it was kind of a sad story, a couple sad stories there. But once I realized that that was really something I had created, it was gone. So a little bit about intentions. Did anybody have any other questions? No? Okay. So did a little bit of a greeting. Usually before I go into a house to cleanse anything, I definitely work in the divine. I work with the white light only. I call upon those in the white light to help me. And I always recommend that for everybody else, because there are lots of different forces out there, and you want to make sure you want to state your intentions because we all have spirit guides. We all have guides and angels that are there with us, and the angels are there with us all the time. All you have to do is ask them for help, and they need to get that permission from you, because we all have free will. So if you don't ask them for help, they can't come in and help. So if you ask them, you just have to ask it in your mind. I've been told that you have to say it out loud, but I don't find that's true for me. And then ask that your guides and spirit guides and angels only bring you those who walk in the white light to work with you, so that you're surrounded by these angelic and high vibrational beings.
Oh, what now?
What's that?
Oh, I think it might have been
Yeah, go ahead, keep going. It was
an accident.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. So one of the things I'll do, especially if the first house I cleared, as a matter of fact, it was the most haunted house I've been in. So spirit threw me into the fire basically. And so it was a family member's house, and they've given me permission to talk about it, but it was a family member's house. And I remember going in, and somebody else had taught me how to clear using sage, and we rang bells and stuff like that and set our intentions. And she had told me that this house wouldn't be ever cleared, ever. And so there are different things on properties that can, that I was talking about, like ley lines. If there's a ley line, and this one, 2 ley lines in the energy fields of the earth crisscrossed. So it was like an energetic it's an energetic superhighway in this house. And so to clear it is kind of almost impossible until now. I'm getting that just recently. Yeshua had come to me the other day, actually doing a house clearing, and closed up portals that I didn't know were closable. So that's kind of cool. But anyway, at the time, I haven't done that one in a while. At the time, it wasn't closable. And so back in the day, to explain the ley lines and things like that, back in the day when people were more open, before we closed up spiritually and psychically, the Native Americans and all of the original people on the planet, or most of them, could sense these ley lines, knew about them, and especially the shaman, and they just knew not to build anything or not to live in that space. But we kind of went away from that, and that's what happened. And so I'll never forget, I worked with her. I had this lady teach me when she was clearing their house what to do. And so that's kind of how I learned. And then I started going over there and doing it myself. And what happened is she had given me one specific symbol to put on if I needed it at some point, and I didn't use it. And when I walked upstairs, there was I could sense the ley lines that crisscrossed through one bed, through three different bedrooms on the upstairs level, and then it crisscrossed the other way. So it was just like this open portal of energy with all these beings coming and going all the time, super highway, like I said. And then the back room was very, very, very negative. And so when I walked in there, I had a being, and it felt very dark and very nasty, telling me that he was going to keep messing with my family, with the people there. And I said, ugh. I just went, ooh, because at that time I was like, oh, this is creepy. I was doing it by myself. I didn't know what I was doing yet. Then the next time before I went in, I put some symbols on myself. So that is one good thing that you can use, is frankincense will help a little bit. Number one, your belief in the divine, or some kind of a God or higher being is going to help you to be able to call on to do this work. And then there's also things that you can bring in that can help. I don't think that you have to have them, but they did help me. When this was a specific symbol I was given by somebody else, but the cross symbol will work. So if you can, it's like anointing yourself before you go in, just with crosses. And I'll take frankincense if I feel like, if it's a more negative place, I'll definitely use frankincense. Most of the time, frankincense. And there's a lot of different oils. You can use sage, but the frankincense really tends to help out. And if you set your intentions when you walk in and ask that those higher beings help you, keep you safe, and ground yourself before you go in, we usually will create a circle with whoever's coming in. Like usually, number one, have them take kids out of the house. I have them to take the kids out of the house. There's no reason for the kids to be in the house. I don't feel like it's very safe. And then when I work with people, we stand in a circle, we ground, we set intentions, and we call on all those divine beings to come kind of help shield us, so to speak, literally shield us with light energy to help keep us safe. So we ground, center, and we call in the white light. And then what I usually do is you can call on Michael, you can call on Yeshua or Jesus, like whoever you believe whoever you believe in that you would like to come assist you. I always call on all of those who walk in the white light and all of the ascended masters to help keep me safe and help clear the spaces. That's cool. They wanted me to do a meditation today to call in Michael's sword of light. Has anybody ever done that before? Yeah, you've all done it. Okay. Do y'all want to do that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah, why
I feel
not?
like this is going to be a newer version than what we had before. So let's do it.
All right.
It'll just be really short. Is everybody on board with that?
That sounds like fun.
Okay, awesome. I have no idea where
Yeah.
we're going. I channeled what I was going to talk about yesterday, and they said we're going to bring in Michael's sword of light. Number one, I do feel like some crazy stuff's going to be happening on the planet, and I feel like this is going to really help everybody to kind of not only build up their armor, but build up their light, and bring in a little bit of.
Hang on, Kathleen. There's another person that's wanting to come in.
Okay.
And I don't want them coming in while you're.
Sure.
There we go. So hi, Maddie. We're getting ready to do a meditation. So we're going to ask if you turn your sound off for the moment.
Okay. We could, oh no. Yep.
I did.
There we go.
All right, there we go. All right, turn mine off.
All right. I'm gonna turn my light off for a second. All right, so we're gonna do an Archangel Michael sword meditation to kind of bring down some light. I don't even know what I'm doing yet, but they guide me on everything because everything I do is channeled. So I'd like you to just imagine, if you can just imagine relaxing your whole physical body, taking a deep breath in. And I want you to just imagine this blue light coming down into your crown and breathe that in. I want you to imagine bringing this blue shimmering light down through your body, spiraling through, going through each chakra system, each cell, each organ. And it's going to kind of spiral through each organ, each chakra, everything, and bring in this just beautiful blue light. It's a royal blue color. Breathe that in. And I'd like you to send the rest of that energy down into the earth and really anchor that energy deep into the earth with that blue energy. Imagine an anchor going all the way down to the bottom of the earth. And when that anchor hits, I actually see it as like an anchor from a boat. I want you to set that anchor in and completely anchor it to the bottom of the earth, however way you can see or feel it. Mother Earth is going to bring this beautiful energy back up through it, this white sparkling energy back up through it. I want you to breathe it back up through your feet. It's going to go all the way through your central channel, which is a tube that goes through the middle of your energy field, all the way up. Breathe that up. It's going to clear out anything that's in that inner channel, all the way up through your crown, out your head, all the way back up to source, like above your body. Breathe it up. And I want you to explode that energy out the top of that. So it looks like this white shimmering light coming up out of the top like a fountain, And it's going to come back down around your body like rain, like white sparkly rain. And then it's going to go down into the earth. It's going to spiral in a circle to the right. And I want you to breathe that back up through your entire body this time. Breathe it up. Send it up above your head. And I want you to explode it out your head. Rain it down again. Down into the earth. And Archangel Michael is going to come up in front of you. And he's going to put his hands on both of your shoulders. I want you to breathe in that energy that he's giving you. He's doing a bit of a DNA upgrade right now. He's taking that energy on your shoulders and he's crisscrossing it through your body. Breathe that in. And then he's crisscrossing it front to back now. Breathe that in. Let that go through your body. In your left hand, he's putting a shield and he's creating the newest energies for you through the shield. He's putting these grids of energy through it. To me, it looks like these squares of energy, kind of like a Rubik's Cube, and all these amazing colors, mostly royal blue, but it's just kind of a 5-dimensional type of square. So it's coming in to your left hand and it's going to be there whenever you need it. He's putting different layers on this shield. And then we're going to go over to your right hand and he's handing you your new version of your sword. I'd like you to grab that. Feel the energy on your right hand, accepting that sword of light. Metatron's coming in because I work with Metatron a lot too. Metatron and Michael are working together right now. They're going to create this sword in blue and white. Just breathe that energy in. This sword actually turns into flames when you'd like it to. You can change it at will. You can turn it into flames. And it looks like blue and white flames to me, but yours may look different because we all see things different psychically. And then he is now putting his hand over your head and he's basically drawing a grid over your body. It looks like blue and white webbing. I want you to breathe that in. It's going down through your entire energy field now. It's gridding to help you keep safe if you do this type of work, and to move forward into the newer energies. It's going to help keep you safe and be able to bring that energy out from your heart. So what I want you to do now that you've got this gridded energy in your body, I want you to focus on your heart chakra. And I want you to imagine spinning it to the right. Use your breath to take a deep breath and then spin that energy to the right like a fast fan blade. If you can psychically see, it should look, to me, it looks like the royal blue and the white mixture. I want you to just explode that light energy out from Michael and Metatron and from you. Take a deep breath and just imagine exploding this white light energy out in front of you, behind you, all around. And they're going to teach me how to, this is to teach you, I'm going to teach you how to use this energy when you clear space. So what you can do is you can imagine that this energy is all through your body, this amazing light energy. And what I do is when I go into these houses and this property, if it's appropriate, then I take this energy and I blow it with my breath through the energy, through all the house, into each crevice, into each space in the house, beginning in the basement. If it's in the actual physical house, starting in the basement and getting this energy into every crevice of this love intention that is intending that you clear all negative things and bring only light and balance to the house. So we'll just bring that energy through, ground our energy into the earth. Imagine growing roots at the bottom of your feet, locking that into Mother Earth, and then bringing that energy back up to your heart. I always have to do the cross. So send that energy out. Imagine you're sending that energy out through your arms, out to the side, all the way to the others, all the way to the left and right of the earth. And I want you to send the anchors out your fingers and then anchor that down into the earth, to the edges, and bring it back. Breathe it back to you. Circle that love energy back around you. And then when you're ready, wiggle your fingers and toes and then come back to the room.
That was amazing, Kathleen.
Thank you. Woo!
Yeah,
Um,
I really like that. I never actually cleared or like used that kind of to clear a space. So it's kind of cool to use light in that way. It's really interesting. Thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So what I started doing naturally is after I was taught, well, I'll turn my light back on so you can see me. Do you guys want a second to acclimate after that meditation?
Somebody was in the waiting room and I'm trying to find her.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So when I started learning how to clear a space, of course, starting a candle and setting your intentions of what you'd like to do there, starting a circle with the homeowners. Of course, you have to have permission to be able to clear a space. Usually people are going to call on you, or you can help them, you know, if you feel comfortable. Number one, the first thing I want to say though, is if you feel like there's something extremely negative and you don't feel you are comfortable with it, number one, don't do it, because these things that are dark, the darker entities and things like that, like they definitely can play with you. And if you don't feel comfortable, I would say don't do it and call somebody else who would be more comfortable to do these things. Because number one, we all have psychic abilities. We all have that gut instinct, and we all know when something's a little bit over our head, or if we aren't comfortable with it, then just don't do it. There are definitely things that there's all different types of negative entities. From, it could be just a spirit person that's just a irritable old man, like what we cleared the other day, Bonnie.
Yeah.
All the way up. Yeah,
That
he
was
was
just a grumpy old man. He didn't want
grumpy
to.
old man. Yeah,
Just
and
didn't
they
want to
can.
go.
Yeah, and they can really mess with people. I have some friends that they had this man that lived on the property in the past that was just there and like, this was my house. Like, you don't belong here. And I'm like, no, like, you're in spirit. Like, let me help you to the light. So there's all kinds of different ways that when you go into a house, you have to be open. It might be somebody in spirit that needs to be crossed over into the light. It may be a really negative or demonic entity that you really, if you don't really know your stuff, or, you know, you can always call in Michael, and you can always call in the angels to take them away. You can call in Jesus. You can call in any of those higher beings that can just do it for you. And if for some reason that doesn't work and you feel like you're, I'm just going to say, don't piss them off if things aren't working. I'm just going to say that.
Go at them with love, because love's the easiest way to do it.
Yes.
And also don't just say get out, because they'll just go to the neighbor's house. You know, always ask the master, the angels, to come and take them to the light, or where they belong, transmute them to where they belong. Yeah.
They put them in the way I see it. When I work with them, I will like wrap them in white light, and then I'll give them to them, and then they'll put them, and then I watch them, psychically watch them, take them across into this portal up to be transmuted, to do whatever they do with them. And then I close the door. We close the door to make sure that they can't come back. So yeah, stuff shouldn't come back if you are very diligent and very careful. So I'm very careful with these things.
Yeah, and the only reason why they would come back, because you have dominant over your home, is because you allow it in some way, on some level. You allow them to come back.
Yes. So you may see when you go into a house and you start blowing these intentions, and you may receive messages like what I heard in my family member's house. Almost said it. They were telling me we're just going to mess with them. And, we're just going to keep messing with them. And I'm like, oh, this is not comfortable I don't want anything of anything negative talking to me. I don't allow that, because we can set the intent of what we want. So we run the show on all of these gifts and abilities. And so we can, if we don't want to hear any of it, we don't have to hear any of it. So after that, I set the intention. After that first time, I put these symbols on myself, and I set the intention that I don't allow those things to speak to me. Never have. And I've gone over and cleared the house numerous times. I've never heard them talk to me again, unless I choose to. I choose to.
Yeah.
So another thing is they want me to talk about is using your gut instinct on how things feel. So when you walk into a room, usually you can tell like if somebody's been fighting in there, or that denser energy, that more negative energy. I'll use a specific person's house that I was in, and they had a lot of stuff in this room. And it doesn't always necessarily have to be a spiritual entity. It can also be something that's connected with a physical thing in their house. It can be a mirror. A mirror can be a portal that's open, that's letting things come in, or letting things go through. You can psychically close those by just putting your hand over it and just imagining closing it up. I imagine closing it up to the left and closing it. That's one way. Bonnie, how do you do that? Same way?
Yeah, I do. But I do mine I do it more like a chokure, and then I push it closed.
Okay.
It's usually what I do. Same thing.
And
whatever your intention is, that it's closed, it's closed.
exactly. Exactly. And then it doesn't hurt to go back every once in a while and make sure it stays closed. I'll just put it that way. If you feel heavy, dense energy, look at your physical feelings. Are you getting irritated? Like, especially when people tell me, somebody's demeanor has changed, and they even show that in the horror movies, like somebody gets really irritable. That is definitely the case, and usually the case of where they have a spiritual attachment themselves from being in that negative energy all the time. You can use sage, and they actually showed you in that meditation how I did that. So I wasn't taught that. I just did it naturally. So you guys will do whatever comes natural to you too. It's channeling. We're all channelers. And so when I would go in, and she taught me, she goes, okay, go down to I start at the basement, and I still do this. I go to every single corner. I get every nook and cranny. I open every cupboard. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but I'm going to go through everything in your house. And they're like, oh my God, I didn't clean this. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm not looking at your stuff. I'm seeing what's in there. And then most of the time I'll find like people in there that are kind of stuck in between worlds that haven't gone to the light yet. And I'll go in and talk to them. I'll just sit on the floor. If they're not negative towards me, I'll sit on the floor and I'll be very quiet, and I'll just talk to them and say, hi, can I help you move on? Can I bring in the angels? And I'll bring in the angels and have them help them cross over. Those are things that happen when I go into houses. Okay, so when you blow your intent in, this is the kind of thing that I will come up against. I'll see things. There may be, and recently, this has been happening for a year, where Mother Earth is kind of regurgitating a lot of the junk out right now. And so what's happening is been getting more and more, and it's going to be even more so. And I hear, Bonnie, it's going to be like next week, where a lot of stuff's going to hit the fan. I'll just put it that way. And so a lot of these pockets of energy in the deep earth have been being released of all this negative stuff, so that us light workers can come in and transmute it. I've seen actually, since last October, I've seen new portals coming out of the earth that weren't there, houses that I had worked in or been in, and they didn't have those things before. And all of a sudden they had this pocket of this nasty, yucky stuff coming out. And so I went in and transmuted it. So there can be newer things. And with what my guides tell me, there's also going to be a lot of shifting of the grid of the planet also coming up. So it's going to happen. It's going to keep happening. And that's why it's going to really we're going to have, that's why I'm teaching this class. Unity circle. Sorry.
Yes. It's sharing in the unity circle.
Sharing.
But also, there's a lot of timeline shifting. There's a lot of things changing. So, the earth is mother's doing the same thing. So it causes a lot of energy to be upset. It's trying to find where to go. And that's what our, like she just said, that's what our light workers' job is to help transmute the light and also send it, help the mother transfer into light. So, yeah.
You can use different things. You can use bells to walk around. Like I said, I start at the bottom and I kind of go in a spiral all the way up the house because I don't want to miss anything. Negative things can climb into the ductwork. They can climb into everything in the house. You have to be very diligent and make sure that you're clearing everything out. Set your intentions to clear everything out. You can also imagine everything going out up in a whirlwind. This is how I do it. I will actually do a backwards whirlwind, which will break up energy. Backwards energy breaks up energy. And I will use like a tornado effect to actually do this throughout a whole house. And I'll imagine, I can even actually just go stand in the basement now because I've gotten a little farther with it and take the energy and swirl it backwards and then pull it up and transmute it and then clear that energy and bring it back down as white light and clear the whole entire house. So we can do these things from a distance. You can too. I actually this was really cool. I had a lady, I cleared her house and then I cleared her property and then I cleared her house. And then she had an outside pole barn. And I was like, oh, I was tired. I'm like, oh, and I go, oh, you have another building. And she goes, yeah. And I said, I'm just going to stand here and do that one from a distance, and I did, I did the thing. I did that same thing. I just went in. And so it's just kind of a quicker way of doing it. And I did that whole like backwards motion tornado in the middle of it, brought it up, released it all, and then brought down the white light. And she messaged me later with a picture of the actual circle that I left in the floor. Physical picture of the energy that I created. That was just me and my guides and my angels created on her pole barn. I didn't take a step in there. I thought that was really cool. Another thing I wanted to talk about was trapped souls. So you can all help, especially if you see or feel people who need to cross over. A lot of them are stuck and they kind of really need to move through and moved into the light. I see it as moving into a higher plane on the upper world, or what we call heaven. There are different levels, or to me, I see them as like step levels, like on a step ladder, but really it's more dimensions. And I was crossing people over left and right, and I wanted to see what that meant. And so my guide showed me in the way I would understand. So they showed me levels. And the first couple levels are definitely not as bright, somewhere that you don't really want to go unless you have to. And it's also where, because there really is no hell. This is kind of where people go if they haven't done, if they feel bad in their lifetime about and don't want to go to the light. They're scared to go to the light because they feel like they did something bad in their lifetime. They feel like they're going to go to hell, which there really isn't one. This is the closest place that I've seen to it because of the fact that they're depressed, and this space is definitely a lower vibration. And so they can go to this space, and then they can also be in that house, in that space, in that dimension. So there can be trapped souls that are scared. A lot of people who went through traumas that didn't know what to do, that I'll find a lot of times on the lower levels or basements or attics, just depends. I don't know. Maybe it's because it's away from the physical people a little bit more, and they tend to be a little scared of them sometimes. And so what I'll do is I'll just ask that, I'll just imagine a door of white light, ask the angels to come in. I create a door of white light, and I call them to this door, and I say, here's the light. And then I'll also ask the angels to come in and help escort them and bring them. Sometimes the angels will actually show them. It's kind of cool. They'll either touch them and bring in the white light into their body, or they will just about lost what I was going to say. They'll show them, it's almost like they put goggles on their face. It's like they put their face into the screen, like a TV where they can actually, and I don't know what the heck it is, but it's pretty cool. I think it's kind of like when you cross over and go to the light and you kind of review your life. It's a version of that. It's like a short, it's the shortened version they're telling me. And so they'll see that and then they'll just go, wow. And they'll be like, okay, I'll go. And then they just go right they go right to the light with the angels. So
Remember the one that we did together, Kathleen, where we were trying to find we were asking someone to come that she loved because she was afraid to move.
Mhm.
And there was no human. That was the sad part. It ended up being a puppy.
it
And
was
the
her.
puppy come bounding through.
Yep. So if you ask, yeah, just like, thank you, Bonnie. So it's just like we just asked, like, what's going to be, I think, Bonnie, you did, who's going to help this person cross over? Because this was a person that was really stubborn and didn't want to go. And we tried a couple times to get her to go. And she was just like, I kind of like being here, you know. And so once the puppy came in, that was the piece of love because she wasn't shown love. And that's what happens with a lot of, this was a person that lived on the earth, you know, and they're upset by something, they hold on to it, and that's kind of why they're in that lower vibration. But once you help them to move through, she actually went, when she felt that love again, it helped her to move forward and go, okay, I'll go now. And then she went. We closed the door real quick.
Yeah, it's like, hurry up, close the door. I don't want her to change her mind.
Yeah.
She was a stubborn one.
Yeah. Another thing I want to say is be aware of what's going on around you. Don't ignore feelings, because there were a couple that I energy clearings that I did for properties that had somebody that was very sad and that had been violated. And when we go in and try to figure out what's going on, like this person in spirit hadn't gone to the light yet, and she was very upset about people going through her stuff, you know. So, and if she had gone to the light, that wouldn't have bothered her, but she would get angry, and she was pissed, you know, and she would like throw the boxes around in the house and do stuff. And so what I wanted to say is just be really be very respectful and courteous, because these are people too. They're just in a different dimension. They're just people, just like us. And they have emotions just like we do.
Also, like the time when people was digging up things because they thought they were cool, but it belonged to an indigenous family, and they were very, very upset about it. And they were
That was it.
really, yeah, is that the one where they were really messing up the house? Yeah.
So there was all kinds of, so what happened in that instance is all hell was breaking loose there. And they called, and I think, Bonnie, you sent that one to me, and I just said, okay, so in that one, I do something different every single time I go to a house. I play it by ear. I go in and I talk to the spirits and I say, how can we help you? Like, how can we make this better and bring balance back here? So in that specific instance, I sat down, and before I go, I'll know what I need to bring. I needed to bring my drum. I needed to do a ceremony, which I don't normally do, but I needed to do a ceremony. We all had to do an instrument. It was like giving back to the earth. Then we had to give back to the earth. We had to give the earth crystals back. We had to dig some crystals in. A lot of times they'll want some kind of tobacco offering or blue corn. Just recently did a blue corn offering. It just depends. I will ask spirit, what is it that we need for this one? And they'll just tell me straight up, we need this, you need that, and you need, you know, to go back. And it's like, sometimes they just need an apology because, you know, people, and we don't realize, we just think it's cool. Like, I watch the shows where they're antagonizing the spirits and you're like, do you realize what you're doing? Yeah, this is just not good. It's like you're picking on somebody who's down already. You just don't realize that's what's happening because you think it's cool. So we want to respect their feelings, emotions, and privacy. On that one that Bonnie was talking about, that was her privacy. She felt that was very, that was just wrecked, you know, because she felt that was a very emotional for her. She had been violated, and those things were hers, and she felt very, you know, she felt like she had to guard them, and she couldn't do anything about them digging them up. So they ended up, I just said, she really wants you to bury them again. And then once they were buried, it was okay again.
Yeah.
It cleared it all. It cleared it all. So that was me talking to spirit and getting those little tidbits of what needed to happen. And then I always will thank at the end. I'll always thank my guides and spirit animals. That's another thing I didn't talk about. We all have spirit animals. If you decide to work with spirit animals or your totem animals, they can come in and help you do these things. So I don't just rely on my angels and my spirit guides and my archangels which walk right with us. But I also have spirit animals, which are divine also, and they come in and help keep me safe, and they help clear things that I can't see. That's cool. So, so there was a business that I went into and did a clearing, and that was a last minute thing because there was some yucky stuff in that place. And I walked in and I walked upstairs and I just felt all my spirit animals just come out and go. I'm like, okay, go, because it was full of stuff last October. And when I did it, I could see my spirit animals just going all over it and grabbing things and transmuting them themselves. So it's not just me. It's like we have a whole team that comes with us, if you allow it.
Do you want me to unmute everyone so that they can ask you some questions?
Sure, go for it.
Okay. You have to kind of unmute yourself because, but it'll ask you to.
Does anybody have any questions or want me to talk about anything specific?
And this,
Okay. Yeah, it's a.
okay, we're back.
Yeah.
Kathleen's.
Can you all talk?
What is going on here?
Yeah, it's so weird.
Niggas always asking me what kind of motherfucking weed I smoke, what strain. Nigga, I smoke that pine cone shit, you know what I mean? That sticky, icky shit, you know?
We're getting bombed, guys.
Yeah, I'm trying
What
to mute
is
you.
going
I don't know how to get rid of them.
Yeah, hang on.
You hear me?
This happens if you put a link out sometimes to these places, like out in
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah, this is-
Gotcha. Another thing I wanted to talk about, if nobody, did anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I'm gonna just leave everybody mute.
I don't know. After that last,
that wasn't
I don't
fun.
know what that was. It's
This
like,
is a weird atmosphere. It
that's
is kind of
definitely.
it is kind of coming up. It's 1:36, so we are kind of wrapping it up now. But
Okay.
that was kind of funny, so everybody just laughed that off.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Definitely
guys
a
all have
paranormal experience.
Yeah, there you go. So you all have a nice rest of your day.
Awesome meditation, Kathleen. That was fantastic.
Yeah, it was
And
very
way that you showed
And-
everybody to clear.
And also, if you guys want to see the whole thing, because I know people popped in and out during this, you just will in the next 24 to 48 hours, it'll be up on replay on the YouTube channel for New Earth AC. And then if anybody who is here who has anything they want to share in a Unity Circle, message one of the hosts. It'd be David, me, Bonnie Bird, and Robin, Nicole, or Jesse. All of us, so you can get a hold of us through that. So
Sorry, I gotta laugh at that. That
I'm still
end part,
laughing.
it's
It's
just
funny.
like,
Well, we'll send some love
Did
and
that just
blessings to that guy. He probably needs it. And everybody, just have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you guys.
yeah.
Bye-bye.